All right, let's dive right into it. The Battle of Barren Hill, Lafayette's daring escape. Date, May 20th, 1778. Location, Barren Hill, Pennsylvania. The setting, the calm before the trap. Picture this. The Revolutionary War is burning on. After the cold, punishing winter at Valley Forge, George Washington's army is finally on the rebound. Supplies have trickled in, troops are trained, and morale is up. They're itching to challenge British control in Pennsylvania, but Washington knows they're still outgunned, especially against General Sir William Howe's seasoned redcoats and their Hessian allies, who control nearby Philadelphia. Washington sends a young, ambitious French aristocrat to the outskirts of Philly on a reconnaissance mission, the Marquis de Lafayette. This 20-year-old is no ordinary soldier. He's practically royalty, and his enthusiasm for the American cause has won him a spot among Washington's top brass. His orders: get close enough to Philadelphia to see what the British are up to, but stay under the radar. Lafayette and his 2,200 Continental soldiers set up camp at Barren Hill, roughly 12 miles from Philadelphia. They're in high spirits, confident and ready for action. Lafayette places his troops strategically, with small detachments at key locations to cover any approach from the British. It's a bold move, no doubt, positioning themselves this close to British-occupied Philadelphia. To anyone watching, it looks like Lafayette is playing with fire. But the Marquis is cautious. He picks the church steeple at St. Peter's as his observation post, giving his men a high vantage point to scout out any incoming threats. From this height, they can see far off into the distance, where any movement from Howe's forces would be visible. They're all set to gather intel and, if need be, head back with what they find. Meanwhile, British spies in the area quickly pick up on Lafayette's little operation. They run the information back to Howe, who sees a golden opportunity to strike. Lafayette's camp is vulnerable, with rivers and rugged terrain on all sides. It's perfect for an ambush. Howe's plan? Surround Lafayette's forces on all sides and crush them in one swift, decisive blow. Howe organizes his forces into 3 columns. General James Grant leads a large portion of British troops to circle around from the north, aiming to cut off Lafayette's retreat back to Valley Forge. Another column under General Charles Gray moves in from the west. The final column, led by General Wilhelm von Knyphausen and composed of Hessian mercenaries, is set to march in directly from the south. They're going to close the net on Lafayette, leaving no room for escape. On the morning of May 20th, Lafayette's scouts notice something disturbing on the horizon. The British troops are on the move, and they're closing in from multiple directions. The situation goes from routine reconnaissance to a nightmare scenario in minutes. Lafayette is looking at a massive British force, an estimated 5,000 troops to his 2,200, slowly moving in to trap him. And yet, young Lafayette doesn't panic. He takes in the situation with a calm that belies his age. Instead of preparing for a hopeless last stand, he begins formulating a plan to escape. His troops are seasoned enough to hold their ground, but they need a way out, fast. Lafayette sends out small detachments to hold the British advance as he organizes his main force. Lafayette's strategy hinges on deception. He orders a small group of his men to make a lot of noise and put up a show of force in the direction of the British columns, as if they're preparing to engage head-on. These soldiers light fires and bang drums, giving the British the impression that the Continentals are gearing up for a serious fight. This move, Lafayette hopes, will stall the British long enough to buy his main force precious time to make an escape. Meanwhile, Lafayette quietly orders his remaining troops to take an unguarded path along the Schuylkill River. It's risky. If the British catch on, his men will be trapped with no way out. But Lafayette knows it's his best shot. As Lafayette's decoy makes just enough noise to keep the British cautious, he moves his main force through the back roads and narrow paths. They slip away quietly, hugging the riverbank to stay out of sight. The British, still under the impression that Lafayette is digging in for a battle, are completely oblivious to the fact that their prey is slipping out from under their noses. By the time Grant's forces realize something's off, it's too late. Lafayette and his men have slipped away through the wooded trails, safely on their way back to Valley Forge. Grant and the British troops arrive at Barren Hill, only to find empty encampments, cold fires, and no trace of the Continental Army. Lafayette's daring escape is celebrated as a brilliant piece of tactical maneuvering. He not only saved his men but did so without losing a single soldier to British musket fire. Washington is thrilled. Lafayette's survival and his ability to outsmart Howe's trap reinforce his value to the Continental Army. This isn't just a morale boost for the Americans, it's a signal to the British that they're dealing with a savvy opponent, one who can avoid a direct fight and still come out on top. For the British, the escape at Barren Hill is a humiliation. Howe's grand plan to crush Lafayette has not only failed, but has made the British look foolish. The Continental Army's spirits are lifted, and the legend of the young French general grows. Lafayette is no longer just a nobleman lending his title to the American cause. He's now a proven commander who can stand his ground and slip away just in time. The Battle of Barren Hill might not have been a bloody confrontation or a game-changing victory, but it's a testament to strategy, quick thinking, and audacity. For Lafayette, this encounter cements his status as a valuable asset to the American cause. Over time, his influence will only grow, both on the battlefield and in diplomatic circles, strengthening the Franco-American alliance that will ultimately play a pivotal role in America's fight for independence. In the aftermath, Lafayette's escape at Barren Hill becomes one of those daring tales that Continental soldiers tell around the campfire. It's a David and Goliath story without the slingshot, a tale of wits over sheer force. And for the American Revolution, it's one more brush with disaster that, thanks to quick thinking and a little bit of luck, ends in victory, or at least, a narrow escape.